Throughout history, women have consistently defied societal expectations and challenged the limitations imposed upon them. In times when gender roles were rigid and opportunities for women were often limited to the domestic sphere, these women found ways to break through, push boundaries, and create legacies that continue to inspire today. The world has seen women rise to power in political spheres, innovate in science, create new forms of art, and take on roles that were thought to be unattainable for them. These trailblazers have shown us that the power to shape history lies not in gender, but in the determination, vision, and resilience of the human spirit. In the political realm, women like Cleopatra, who ruled Egypt as a powerful queen, and Indira Gandhi, the first female prime minister of India, made an indelible mark, despite the gender prejudices of their times. They assumed roles of immense responsibility, guided nations through turbulent periods, and proved that women were just as capable of leadership as men. Their tenacity and strategic thinking altered the course of history. Cleopatra, for example, skillfully navigated the complex political landscape of her time, forging alliances with the Roman leaders Julius Caesar and Mark Antony, while also securing her position as one of the most influential figures in ancient history. Indira Gandhi, on the other hand, faced political and social challenges that tested her resolve, but she remained steadfast, leading India through both internal and external challenges, including wars, social unrest, and economic difficulties. Women have also been crucial in breaking the boundaries of education and intellectual achievement. Take, for instance, the pioneering scientist Marie Curie. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, when women were discouraged from pursuing careers in science, Curie not only entered the field, but redefined it. As the first woman to win a Nobel Prize, and the only person ever to win Nobel Prizes in two different scientific fields, physics and chemistry, Curie's work has been instrumental in advancing our understanding of radioactivity and laid the groundwork for many modern medical treatments. Her achievements were even more remarkable considering the severe gender biases that surrounded her career. The obstacles she faced didn't stop her from revolutionizing the scientific community. Her story exemplifies the courage and determination of women to transcend societal limitations and achieve greatness. Another key example of breaking barriers is the work of women in the arts. Virginia Woolf, a British writer in the early 20th century, helped shape modernist literature with works such as Mrs. Dalloway and To the Lighthouse. At a time when women were often excluded from the literary canon, Woolf's innovative writing challenged traditional structures and explored new ways of understanding time, consciousness, and identity. Her groundbreaking work has inspired generations of writers, particularly women, to find their voice and contribute to the literary world. Even in areas where women's participation was considered unthinkable, they have proven themselves. For instance, in ancient Greece, a society that revered male philosophers, Hypatia of Alexandria stood as a beacon of knowledge and scholarship. She was one of the first women in recorded history to make significant contributions to mathematics and philosophy. Hypatia's work was so important that her students revered her as a teacher, and she became a symbol of intellectual achievement, despite the gender restrictions of her era. Her life and legacy remind us of the intellectual potential women possess and their ability to reshape society's understanding of the world. These women, and many others, demonstrate how resilience, intelligence, and creativity know no gender. The barriers that were once thought insurmountable were toppled by those who dared to dream, challenge, and lead. The impact of their work transcends time, and their achievements continue to influence and inspire countless individuals, particularly women, who now see that their potential is limitless. They remind us that history is shaped not just by those in positions of power or wealth, but by those who fight for their place in a world that often doesn't make space for them. Ultimately, these women have not only made history for themselves, but have also paved the way for future generations. Their courage to defy the norms has laid the foundation for the continued progress of women in every field imaginable, proving that women's voices and actions have always had the power to change the course of history. Women have always played a pivotal role in driving social change, often leading movements that challenged the status quo and demanded justice and equality. At times when the world seemed entrenched in inequality, these women not only recognized the injustice, but also dedicated their lives to fighting it, inspiring countless others to join their causes. Their courage, persistence, and visionary leadership have reshaped societies and continue to influence contemporary movements for human rights and equality. From the suffragists who fought for women's right to vote to civil rights activists who sought racial justice, women have consistently been at the forefront of the battle for a more just world. One of the most significant movements driven by women was the struggle for women's suffrage. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, women like Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton in the United States and Emmeline Pankhurst in the United Kingdom fought tirelessly for women to have the right to vote. Despite facing immense opposition, ridicule, and often imprisonment, they persisted. These women did not simply demand the right to vote for themselves. They envisioned a world where all women would have equal representation in shaping the laws and policies that govern their lives. Their efforts culminated in landmark victories, such as the passage of the 19th Amendment in the United States in 1920, which granted women the right to vote, and similar victories in other nations. Their legacy continues to inspire modern-day movements for gender equality and women's rights. Alongside the suffrage movement, Rosa Parks, a name synonymous with defiance, is perhaps best remembered for her brave act of refusing to give up her seat on a segregated bus in Montgomery, Alabama in 1955. Her act of resistance became a catalyst for the American Civil Rights Movement, leading to the Montgomery bus boycott and sparking widespread protests against racial segregation. Parks' quiet strength and conviction showed the world that one individual's act of defiance could ignite a national movement for justice. Women like Parks, along with figures such as Ella Baker and Fannie Lou Hamer, played essential roles in the civil rights struggle, organizing grassroots campaigns, leading protests, and advocating for policy change. Their work not only challenged racial segregation, but also challenged the idea that women had no place in leading social movements. Beyond the United States, women like Malala Yousafzai have brought global attention to issues of education and gender equality. Malala's advocacy for girls' education in Pakistan in the face of violent opposition from the Taliban became an inspiration to millions around the world. At just 15 years old, she survived an assassination attempt that aimed to silence her voice, but instead of retreating, she only grew stronger. Her resilience and courage led her to become the youngest ever Nobel Prize laureate, and she has continued her activism on a global scale, focusing on ensuring that girls everywhere have the right to an education. Malala's story highlights how women, particularly young women, can have an outsized impact on social change, especially when they challenge oppressive systems that aim to silence them. Even in times of war and conflict, women have been at the forefront of efforts to bring about peace and rebuild societies. In Liberia, for example, Leymah Gbowee led a women's peace movement that helped end the brutal civil war in the country in 2003. Along with other women, Gbowee organized peaceful protests, including a sex strike, to demand an end to the violence and bring warring factions to the negotiating table. Her efforts ultimately led to the election of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, the first female president of Liberia, and helped pave the way for a more stable and peaceful future for the nation. Gbowee's leadership exemplifies the transformative power of women in peace-building and conflict resolution, often stepping in where others might fear to tread. These women and countless others have shown that social change often begins with individuals who are willing to take bold actions and speak out against injustice, even in the face of overwhelming opposition. Their perseverance, their courage, and their vision have not only transformed their societies, but have also set the stage for continued progress. The legacy of these women is not just in the victories they achieved, but in the inspiration they continue to offer to those who fight for a more equitable world. It is through their leadership that we have learned that social change is not a single event, but a collective effort, one that requires the voices of those who are often marginalized and oppressed. These women have shown us the immense power of standing up for what is right, regardless of the risks, and in doing so, they have helped shape a world that continues to strive for justice and equality. Women have made profound contributions to science and technology, often pushing past the barriers of gender bias and societal expectations to revolutionize fields that were once considered beyond their reach. Their work has not only advanced human knowledge, but has also paved the way for future generations of women to thrive in areas once dominated by men. These trailblazing women faced tremendous obstacles, ranging from limited educational opportunities to outright exclusion from academic and professional circles. Yet they persevered, making discoveries that continue to shape the world we live in. Marie Curie is perhaps one of the most iconic examples of a woman who broke new ground in science. In a time when women were largely excluded from scientific research, Curie not only became the first woman to win a Nobel Prize, but also the first person to win Nobel Prizes in two different fields, physics and chemistry. Her groundbreaking work on radioactivity led to major advancements in medical treatments, including the development of radiation therapy for cancer patients. Despite facing immense discrimination and personal tragedy, Curie's determination never wavered. She worked tirelessly in a lab that lacked the modern facilities we take for granted today, and yet her discoveries were transformative. Her contributions to science reshaped how we understand atomic structure and energy. Curie's legacy is a testament to the power of perseverance, and she continues to inspire generations of women in STEM fields to this day. Another remarkable woman in the history of science is Ada Lovelace, who is often credited with being the world's first computer programmer. In the early 19th century, when computers were merely a concept, Lovelace worked alongside Charles Babbage, the inventor of the analytical engine, a precursor to the modern computer. Lovelace's insight into the potential of the machine was groundbreaking. She recognized that it could be programmed to perform any calculation, not just those related to numbers. Her visionary work laid the foundation for modern computing, though it would be over a century before the full significance of her contributions was realized. Despite her achievements, Lovelace's work went largely unrecognized during her lifetime, but today she is celebrated as a pioneer of computer science, and her legacy is a powerful reminder of the often overlooked contributions of women to technological progress. Similarly, women have made vital contributions to space exploration, often overcoming enormous odds to participate in a field that was traditionally reserved for men. One such woman is Katherine Johnson, an African-American mathematician whose calculations were crucial to the success of NASA's space missions. Johnson's work, particularly on the trajectory of John Glenn's orbital flight in 1962, helped ensure that the mission was a success. For years, her contributions were hidden behind the veil of racial and gender bias. But her story has since been brought to light, thanks in part to the book and film Hidden Figures. Johnson, along with other women of color like Dorothy Vaughan and Mary Jackson, showed that the pursuit of knowledge and exploration was not determined by race or gender, but by skill, intellect, and determination. Their work paved the way for future generations of women and minorities in STEM fields. The achievements of these women are not just historical footnotes. They continue to resonate in the scientific world today. Their discoveries and innovations have had far-reaching impacts in medicine, technology, and space exploration. Their work has led to the creation of life-saving treatments, the expansion of human knowledge about the universe, and the development of the technological tools that power our modern world. But perhaps even more importantly, these women broke down barriers that had previously limited who could contribute to these fields, making it possible for future generations of women to pursue careers in science and technology without facing the same institutional hurdles. As the world continues to evolve, we see more women entering and excelling in STEM fields thanks to the groundwork laid by women like Curie, Lovelace, and Johnson. These pioneers showed that gender should never be a limiting factor in the pursuit of knowledge or the desire to make an impact on the world. They prove that passion, intellect, and determination are universal qualities that transcend gender and can lead to groundbreaking discoveries that change the course of history. Today, their stories continue to inspire countless women to enter fields where they can leave their own mark on the world, knowing that they too have the power to reshape the future through science and technology. Women have consistently shaped art, literature, and culture, often using their work to challenge societal norms and explore the complexity of human experience. From painting and sculpture to writing and music, women have left an indelible mark on cultural history, creating works that have influenced generations and changed the way we view the world. Despite facing barriers such as limited access to formal education or professional opportunities, these women broke through the confines of their time to become pioneering figures in the arts. In literature, the contributions of women writers have been transformative, with figures like Virginia Woolf and Maya Angelou reshaping narrative structures and the themes explored in literature. Woolf, an essential figure in the modernist movement, pushed the boundaries of what literature could express. In works like Mrs. Dalloway and To the Lighthouse, she explored the inner lives of her characters with a depth and complexity that had never before been seen in mainstream literature. Her stream of consciousness style, which delved into the psychology of characters, was groundbreaking. Woolf's writing not only challenged conventional storytelling methods, but also examined the societal roles and limitations placed on women, particularly in her feminist essays, like A Room of One's Own. In this essay, Woolf argued that women needed financial independence and private space to truly create, a revolutionary concept at the time. Her legacy as a writer has inspired countless women to find their own voices and tell their own stories, often tackling themes of identity, mental health, and gender inequality. Maya Angelou, whose work spans poetry, memoir, and drama, also profoundly impacted literature and culture. Her autobiography, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, opened a window into the experiences of African American women in the segregated South. Angelou's powerful storytelling and poetry addressed themes of identity, resilience, and liberation. She became an international symbol of strength, particularly for women of color, with her work inspiring not only other writers but anyone who has faced marginalization. Her poem, Still I Rise, is a triumphant declaration of self-worth and resilience, echoing the struggles of many who have faced oppression, especially women. Angelou's words remain a powerful tool for empowerment as they continue to resonate with readers and audiences around the world. Women have also made substantial contributions to the visual arts, often using their art as a means of self-expression and resistance. Frida Kahlo, a Mexican painter known for her deeply personal and often surreal self-portraits, used her art to explore themes of identity, suffering, and female strength. Kahlo's works were not only a reflection of her physical pain, stemming from a life-altering bus accident and health issues, but also of the emotional and psychological turmoil she faced. Despite being relatively unknown during her lifetime, Kahlo's art has since become iconic. Her powerful images of female experience and her unapologetic embrace of her own body and identity have made her a feminist icon, inspiring generations of women to embrace their own complexities and vulnerabilities. In music, women have also made their mark not only as performers but also as composers and innovators. One of the most influential women in the history of music is Clara Schumann, a German composer and pianist who lived in the 19th century. Despite the societal pressures of her time that relegated women to the domestic sphere, Schumann became a virtuoso pianist and composed a number of works that are still celebrated today. Her musical prowess was immense, yet she had to fight for recognition in a world that often dismissed women's contributions to classical music. Schumann's work, along with that of other female composers like Fanny Mendelssohn, paved the way for future generations of women in music, showing that women could not only perform but also create complex and innovative compositions. These women, and many more like them, have used art to break barriers, express truths, and challenge the status quo. They prove that creativity knows no gender, and that women have the power to influence cultural movements and shape public consciousness. The art and literature produced by these women not only reflect their own experiences, but also serve as a mirror for society, revealing truths about human nature, inequality, and the complexity of identity. Through their work, they have given voice to those who are often silenced, carving out spaces for women to exist authentically in the cultural landscape. As we continue to celebrate and study the works of women artists, writers, and musicians, we are reminded of their immense contributions and the barriers they overcame. Their legacies serve as a powerful reminder that art has the ability to change the world, and women have always been at the heart of that transformation. Throughout history, women have not only played crucial roles in governance and leadership, but have also proven that they can lead with strength, intelligence, and compassion. Despite facing systemic barriers and societal expectations that relegated them to secondary roles, many women have risen to power and guided their nations through turbulent times, leaving a lasting impact on the course of history. These women in positions of power have shown that leadership is not bound by gender. and their legacies have paved the way for future generations of women to enter and excel in politics and leadership. One of the most iconic examples of female leadership is Queen Elizabeth I of England, who ruled during one of the most transformative periods in English history. Her reign, known as the Elizabethan era, was marked by significant political, cultural, and military achievements. At a time when women were expected to remain in the domestic sphere, Elizabeth I broke convention by asserting her authority and guiding her nation through challenges such as the Spanish Armada in 1588. Her diplomatic skills, intelligence, and strategic thinking ensured England's survival and growth as a global power. Elizabeth's leadership was not just about military victories or political prowess, it was also about creating a sense of national unity and identity, especially in a country still recovering from religious and political turmoil. Elizabeth's ability to navigate the complexities of her position while maintaining a sense of independence and control continues to be a model of female leadership in history. In the 20th century, women like Indira Gandhi and Margaret Thatcher demonstrated the power of female leadership on a global scale. Indira Gandhi, the first and only female Prime Minister of India, rose to power in 1966 in a time when the political landscape of India was highly unstable. Despite significant opposition and challenges, including being the daughter of a former Prime Minister, Gandhi's determination and boldness allowed her to maintain leadership through 2 terms. Her decision to declare a state of emergency in 1975, although controversial, was a decisive move that kept India united during a period of political unrest. Gandhi's leadership was instrumental in shaping the direction of post-independence India, particularly in areas such as economic development, defense, and foreign policy. Similarly, Margaret Thatcher, the first female Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, made history by leading the country for 11 years. Known for her tough stance on issues such as the economy, foreign policy, and social welfare, Thatcher earned the nickname the Iron Lady for her unapologetic approach to governance. Her policies, particularly those related to privatization and reducing the power of trade unions, dramatically reshaped the British economy. While her leadership style was often controversial and divisive, there is no denying her impact on the UK and the world. Thatcher's rise to power demonstrated that women could lead not only with compassion, but also with a firm hand when necessary, and her example continues to influence political leaders today. In more recent history, figures such as Angela Merkel and Jacinda Ardern have shown that leadership is not about aggression or domination, but about empathy, collaboration, and resilience. Angela Merkel, who served as Chancellor of Germany from 2005 to 2021, became known for her pragmatic, steady leadership during several European crises, including the Eurozone debt crisis and the refugee crisis. Merkel's ability to maintain Germany's position as a leading economic and political power in Europe while navigating complex international relationships was built on her calm, analytical approach to governance. Her leadership was a beacon of stability in a rapidly changing world, and she often stood as the moral compass of the European Union. On the other side of the world, New Zealand's Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern has exemplified how compassionate leadership can create positive change. Ardern's response to crises such as the Christchurch mosque shootings in 2019 and the COVID-19 pandemic show that leadership rooted in empathy and inclusivity could yield incredible results. Her ability to communicate directly with the public, her transparent decision-making, and her focus on well-being have set her apart as a modern example of effective leadership. Ardern's approach challenges the traditional notion of leadership as a male-dominated authoritative role, showing that women can lead with kindness while still being strong and decisive. These women leaders, along with countless others, have shown that leadership is not defined by gender, but by vision, dedication, and the ability to bring people together. Their achievements have shattered the stereotypes about women's roles in society, proving that women are not only capable of leadership but can excel in it. Their legacies, which range from fostering economic prosperity to creating inclusive societies, continue to inspire women around the world to pursue positions of power and to lead with purpose and integrity. As these women have demonstrated, leadership knows no gender. It is about the strength of character and the ability to make difficult decisions for the greater good. The impact of women who have made history is not confined to the achievements they themselves garnered in their time. Their legacies have laid the foundation for future generations, empowering countless young girls and women to dream bigger, challenge societal norms, and pursue paths that were once closed off to them. The ripple effect of their accomplishments continues to inspire new waves of change, showing that the power of one woman's determination can ignite a chain reaction that shapes the world for years to come. Their stories teach us that progress is not just about the triumphs of the past, but about how those triumphs create space for future generations to make their own mark. One of the most important aspects of these trailblazing women is the way they have made it possible for others to follow in their footsteps. By breaking barriers in fields like politics, science, the arts, and social justice, they have proven that women can lead in every area of society. These women have been role models for countless others who now see themselves as capable of doing the same. For instance, Malala Yousafzai's advocacy for girls' education has inspired young women worldwide to pursue education and stand up for their rights. When Malala was shot by the Taliban for simply going to school, she not only survived but turned her personal tragedy into a global movement, bringing attention to the need for educational opportunities for girls in regions where they had previously been denied. Today, girls and women from all over the world look up to Malala as a symbol of resilience, strength, and the unbreakable power of education. Her story reminds them that no matter the obstacles, they can achieve greatness if they persist. Similarly, women like Rosa Parks, whose act of defiance sparked the civil rights movement in the United States, have created a powerful example of how one individual's actions can trigger monumental change. Parks' quiet but firm refusal to give up her seat on a segregated bus in 1955 was not just an act of rebellion, it was a statement that sent shock waves through American society and ignited the broader struggle for racial equality. The message that one woman could stand up for justice and, in doing so, change the course of history continues to resonate with young women today, urging them to take action against inequality, no matter how intimidating the odds may seem. These women have not only created movements, but they have also redefined what it means to be a leader. Figures like Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who dedicated her life to advocating for gender equality and women's rights, have shown younger generations that leadership is about more than titles or power. It is about standing up for what is right, even when the fight is long and difficult. Ginsburg's tireless work in the U.S. Supreme Court, where she consistently fought for equality under the law, has inspired countless women to pursue careers in law and public service, believing that they too can have a profound impact on the world around them. Furthermore, the legacy of these women has not only empowered other women to rise to leadership positions, but has also shifted cultural perceptions about what women can achieve. In the past, women were often confined to roles within the home or in a limited number of professions, but today we see women excelling in all fields, from technology and business to government and entertainment. The growing number of female CEOs, political leaders, and scientists is a testament to the lasting influence of those who broke the mold before them. Each success builds upon the next, creating an ever-expanding space for women to enter and excel in areas once thought unreachable. As we look toward the future, the impact of these women continues to grow as each new generation of women makes its own mark on history. Whether it's through the strides women are making in science, like those championing climate change research and renewable energy solutions, or through movements for social justice, such as the global push for gender equality and women's reproductive rights, the influence of those who came before continues to guide and motivate. These women have left an undeniable imprint on the world, showing that change is possible and that every woman has the potential to make history in her own way. Their courage, perseverance, and vision have transformed society, and their legacy will continue to empower and inspire generations of women to come. The women who have made history not only shaped their own time, but they also paved the way for a future where women's voices are heard and their potential is fully realized.